Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. I want to welcome you all. I also want to welcome Dominic back to the platform. He's been out of commission with a broken foot. He's back with a boot.
Yeah.
And your soul is welcome here, Dominic, and all of your souls are welcome here, and we're going to sing about that.
That's right. Good morning, everybody. Your souls are welcome here. Let's all sing together. Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome, and your souls are welcome. All our souls are welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Let me see your hands up. Come on. My soul is welcome here. Good morning. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Well, good morning, Reverend Deborah. Good to see you this morning. Indeed, your soul is welcome. Yeah.
And good morning, Reverend James, and good morning, everyone. And we greet you this morning in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred. And in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, stone circles, and of course, the beautiful temples of nature, because we know there is no space that God does not grace. And if you are with us for the very first time today, either online or here in person, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. Every single one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And we're just so happy to be able to be together again. And of course, we're thrilled when you silence your electronic devices, and please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Well, we have a clearing now between us and the presence of God, and knowing that there is no otherness or no distance. And so we go right to the source for a moment. And as we lowly listen, we feel and sense our oneness with this presence. It is a presence that is within us and around us, that is always for us, that only sees divine and perfect spiritual solutions to any challenges that we may face on the human plane. And as we make this presence the activity of our awareness in thought, word, and action, then we anchor in our life and in our world a little bit more of this ever-expanding good or heaven. So we're grateful to be the vessels and the channels and the vehicles of this presence, knowing that as we do, each and every one of us begin to move ourselves from where we are to where we can be when we are seen at our highest and our best. It is done. And we know that as any individual is lifted up, we all are lifted up. For indeed, we are one in the spirit. We are interconnected on that soul level, that spiritual level. And whenever anyone is lifted up, it affects the whole field in which we are a part. So we go forth knowing this truth, affirming this truth, and living this truth. In the name and the nature of the Spirit of the living God. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose here at Spiritual Life Center as reflected in our mission statement. And I invite you to join in as we affirm it together. To transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we go about fulfilling that mission as we live out to the best of our abilities 5 basic principles and make them part of our awareness. And so let's again affirm them in unison. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. We must take action.
And speaking of action, we are coming up on Faith in Action beginning in October. And so participant signups have started last week. They go all the way through Sunday, September 25th. You can sign up online. And if you are a little bit electronically challenged, you can go out to the courtyard here and they will help you sign up. We have 11 groups this year. Some of them are Zoom only. Some of them are hybrid. And some of them are in person. So there's lots of choices. This is a great book. We're going to be learning and studying the 12 powers this year. And we're really excited about it. So be sure and find your group today.
And also be sure to reserve Friday, September 30th for our Light the World Gala, where we gather together as a community to celebrate as well as support our spiritual community, our spiritual cooperative, and we acknowledge and give and have fun with one another. The evening will include brief highlights from our cabaret and Light the World Women's Honors event that took place, as well as a salute to our youth and the lasting connections we've made with each other over the years that you've been part of our community. And there's going to be games, there's going to be live music with one and only Soul Light Connection, so they'll be part of this experience. And at this time, we are accepting auction and raffle donations. So you can see Elaine or Pat Harvey, I believe, in the courtyard. And registration is now available online and in the courtyard. And your ticket includes a mix and mingle social hour it'll have some appetizers, it'll be some drinks, desserts, as well as first come, first choice seating for the gala. So come on down. You're gonna see us let our hair down if you have any. I get a wig I can look like Ariel Grande, yes. Yes, and Paul is going to come forth and has an announcement to make from the music team.
Yes. Well, I wanted to mention, you already heard about the cabaret that we had and the highlights that we're going to have. It was such a smashing success. How many of you were there? So my emails and text messages exploded for days after that about all the good times that people had. So guess what happened? We put another one on the calendar. October 28th. This is our Trick or Treat Cabaret. So this time of year, it's known. There's many celebrations around this time of year. In the United States, we have our Halloween. There is Dia de los Muertos, where we celebrate the ancestors and the bridge. And then there's All Saints' Day. This is a time of year that it is said that the veil is the thinnest between worlds. So we're going to celebrate that. We're going to have that be our theme. If you have anything that you would like to share with the community around this theme, please contact me through my email, pmandela@SLC World, and we'll put together another fantastic, fabulous trick-or-treat cabaret. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of treats and maybe a few tricks. this is for October 28th, so get with me soon. Thanks.
Hey.
And I now have some bittersweet news to share with you. Yes. So our drummer, Devon, he is going to move on to New Orleans to try his luck there. Yes. And we're saying goodbye to him today because I will be at Unity Village at the Posse Awards next week. And next week will be his last week. And he leaves the very next day on Monday to go to New Orleans. So he did not want to, he said he doesn't feel like he's a public speaker, but I can tell you that he has shared with us that he thinks we're kind of special. And I could say on behalf of all of you, Devon, we think you're kind of special also.
Yes, you are.
So let's give him a nice SLC blessing.
Just take it into love.
Devon, we love you.
We bless you. We appreciate you.
And we behold God's love as you. Good luck on your new adventure.
Yes, go forth. What do we have? Oh, and Claudia, yes, we have an update from our Board of Trustees. And Claudia, one of our board members, is going to share that update with you. Welcome, Claudia.
Hi there. So I wanted you all to come to the community meeting today at 1 o'clock after church, where we will be voting on proposed revisions of our bylaws. And that's after church. So we hope that you have renewed your membership so you can vote. And our membership committee has been calling people to make sure that they have renewed their membership. And we look forward to seeing you today at 1. I want to tell you about an important event that is happening right here on September 25th at 1 o'clock, where we will be having a presenter on the funding of real estate. Let me tell you a story. The Berkeley Humane Society received a donation of $400,000 from land. And this was after they reached out to their donors, letting them know that this was a possibility. And then they reached out to them again. And they got a $600,000 property that, so within 6 months, they were able to bring in over $1 million in liquid assets just by letting their donors know that this was an option. So we would love for you to know how this can work here at Spiritual Life Center. So come and listen to this informative and exciting presentation on September 25th at 1 o'clock, where Cammie Baker will provide all the details and answer all your questions. So this is in 2 weeks, folks, so put it on your calendars now. And it will be live and on Zoom, and I believe the Zoom link will be up today. So then the last thing I want to share with you is on October 9th, after church, we will be having an information session for all the people that are interested in learning about joining Spiritual Life Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
And remember, we have many activities here at Spiritual Life Center, including weekly small groups. So to find out what's going on, you can go to our website. You can also go out to the courtyard, look at the bulletin board, go chat with the ladies at the hub. And again, check out the website because almost everything you could possibly want to know about SLC is on the website.
But one thing you can do in person is just connect with our Board of Trustees and our chaplains that are here. So we invite them to please stand if they're here this morning. And the chaplains are wearing the white stoles. And if you have a prayer need today, or you're going through a challenge that you want to see it from a higher point of view, or you just want to celebrate something, they're here to pray with you immediately after the service, and they're available to do so in the courtyard. So we thank the chaplains for their consciousness and the contribution they make to our community. And our board members that are standing there, they do a lot of work behind the scenes that you don't necessarily see, but they bring their time, their talent, and their skill to keep us moving forward as a collective community. And if you have some questions you want to ask of the board, they're available to answer them to the best of their abilities. So we thank them for their consciousness and service to Spiritual Life Center.
We love to welcome our newcomers. So in a moment, we will ask you to raise your hand. But first, we want you to know there are many ways to become connected at SLC. And one way to do that is to fill out the welcome card. Now, that welcome card is available online. You can go to our website, fill out the card, and submit it, and we will contact you. Here on site, if you raise your hand, we will give you the card. You can fill it out and then take it to the welcome table out in the courtyard, where they will have a very special gift and a warm welcome for you.
So if anyone's here for the very first time, we just invite you to raise your hand. You can get that welcome card, and we'll also give you a purple ribbon. And if you wear that, you'll be able to get a special Spiritual Lives greeting from someone in our community. And just want to let you know that we appreciate your presence here. We support you in your journey as you continue to grow and develop and unfold whatever path you happen to be on. And we love you and we appreciate you, and we behold the magnificence that you are. And with that, we invite folks to not only welcome our newcomers in a way that feels comfortable for you, but also each other, and say, you are marvelous and glad you are here. Okay, this is just 2 pages.
So everybody, today we're talking about healing polarization and division. And we have a bit of a rock music program today. We're going to hear music. This one is a classic from the 70s, the Youngbloods. We've also got music by Joan Osborne, as done by Prince. We've got Lenny Kravitz, Alicia Keys, and Emily Sandé coming up.
Join me in singing. Love is but a song we sing. Fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or hear the angels cry. Though the dove is on the wing, and you need know why. Come on, people now, smile at each other, everybody get together. We can love one another right now. Some will come and some will go. It will surely pass. When the one that brought us here, we recognize at last, we are but a moment's sunlight, glistening in the grass. Oh. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You're the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there, it's your command. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together. We can love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on each other. We can always get together. We can love one another right now, right now. Oh, oh, oh. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together. We can love one another right now, right now, right now. Please be seated. Thank you.
All right, now let's take a nice deep breath together. Drop down into that beautiful, wonderful heart space in this room and in every beautiful being in this room. And I invite you to speak out loud together and soul and embody these words of our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now, we will affirm in song that we can change the world, one beautiful heart at a time.
We can change the world, one heart at a time. We can change the world, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me.
Sing with us.
We can change the world, one heart at a time. We can change the world, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. We can change the world, one heart at a time. We can change the world, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. My heart is open to love.
change the world one heart at a time. You can change the world one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. And my heart is open to love. My heart is ready to love you. We can change the world one heart at a time. We can change the world. We can change the world one heart at a time. One heart at a time. We can change the world. Change the world one heart at a time. We can change the world. Change the world one heart at a time. We can change the world.
We can change the world. Feel the music pour over you. Let it wash over you like light rain. As we prepare for meditation, place your feet flat on the floor. Relax your shoulders and close your eyes. Take in a cleansing breath and release. As you breathe, be aware that you are breathing. Breath in, aware. Breath out, aware. In, out. Do this several times until your breathing slows and it feels natural. In, out. The words from the chant still pouring over you like a gentle rain. As you continue your breathing, I would like to share this thought. We sometimes get caught up in all or nothing thinking, black and white thinking. Things must be one extreme or another. I know this. I know because I have done this. When my metaphorical storm came, when circumstances appeared difficult, I believed I could either confront the storm or go into the eye of the storm where it is safe, calm, and away from chaos. Fight or flight. This belief has its place, but it misses one important piece. There are more than two choices. If we choose to reframe our thinking, if we are willing to consider that maybe, just maybe, we have become so afraid of the thunder clapping at our feet that we don't realize the storm has actually come to wash us clean, to feed our drought, or even nourish us. Once fear loses its grip on us, this storm can become a doorway to reclaiming our power. If any of this resonates with you, as it has for me, take it from it what you need into meditation. Be willing to visualize your storm as a light rain that has arrived. It is here to wash you clean, to feed your drought, to nourish you. Allow it to rain in the silence. Gently return your awareness to your surroundings and the present moment. When you are ready, open your eyes. Remember, you have the power of choice. Also remember that you have a power within that is greater than any circumstance. And the universe, God has your back. You are in good hands. May it be so.
Check, check. Hey, guys. I actually would like to say something before we start. For one, Paul is shorter than me, so I gotta change this a little bit here. So Paula chose this song. She always chooses all the songs, and this one really stood out to me, and I liked the message, and I love Alicia Keys, so I decided that I wanted to take this one on, and did some little adjustments here and there, and I hope you guys like it. Hope the words speak to you. Dream that the world stops raining, stops turning its back on the young. Nobody here is blameless. I pray we can fix all we've done. I really hope you can't see this. I dream that we still have a dream, and I'm hoping that change isn't hopeless, and I'm hoping to start it with me. I just hope I'm not the only one. I just hope I'm not the only one. I hope we start seeing forever instead of what we can gain in a day. I hope we start seeing each other, 'cause don't we all bleed the same? I hope someone
a child doesn't bear the weight of a gun. I find the voice within me to scream at the top of my lungs. I just hope I'm not the only one. I just hope I'm not the only one. Louder, I cannot hear you. And how can things be better left unsaid? Call me a dreamer, but it seems the dreams are all that we've got left. I hope we still have a heartbeat. I hope we don't melt to snow. At night when you turn the lights off, I pray you don't cry alone. And I hope we stop taking for granted all the land and all of the sea. And I'm taking a chance on loving, and I'm hoping you'll take it with me. I just hope I'm not the only one. I just hope I'm not the only one. I just hope I'm not the only one.
Excellent job. She said, good job. I say, excellent job. You know, there was an experiment, a social experiment, that took place, I think, the summer of 1954, according to my re-research of this. And there were 11 young boys from a Midwestern city. And they were put on a bus and sent to a state park. It was about 150 miles away from where they lived. And all of the boys had just completed the 5th grade. They had never met with each other before. They'd all come from basically the same backgrounds. And when they reached the park, the boys were assigned a particular cabin. And they called themselves the Rattlers. And then the very next day, a second group of boys who all came from the same background arrived at the camp as well. And they were assigned a cabin that they could not see the first group of boys that came. And this second group of boys called themselves the Eagles. And for about a week, the two groups went about their activities. You know, they swam in the lake and they played baseball. I guess they roasted marshmallows, probably were telling whether horror stories or spooky stories at night around the campfire. They didn't know about each other because, you know, they swam in separate places. They ate in separate times in order not to cross paths. And they created their own separate social systems and ways of governing themselves. And one of the things about the Rattlers, they cursed like sailors. And the Eagles, they frowned upon cursing and, you know, they forbid profanity in their group. And then at the end of the week, lo and behold, the two groups learned about each other. And there was an immediate reaction that took place. Each group wanted to challenge the other to a contest. And so the counselors that were in charge of this scheduled to have a tournament. And on the first day of the tournament, the Rattlers, the cursers, won both the baseball game and the tug of war. And the Eagles, they were livid. They claimed the whole thing was rigged. They claimed that the Rattlers were too big and too old, and they couldn't possibly be fifth graders. And so on the way back, the Eagles went back to their cabin, and they noticed that Rattlers had attached a flag on the fence around home plate that, declared their victory, and they tore their flag down. And then the next day, the two groups got into a fist fight, and it was broken up by the counselors at that time. And then that day, there was a reversal of fortune. The other team, the Eagles, they won the baseball game. And they said it was because they prayed to God. And the Rattlers lost because they were being punished by this God for all the cursing they were doing. And then after winning the baseball game, the Eagles beat them at the tug of war as well. And then the Rattlers decided to retaliate. And what they did, they raided the Eagles' cabin after they had both gone to sleep. And they had this feud, and it escalated. And the Eagles counter-raided with their own stuff, doing it to the other team. And they ate breakfast, and as they ate breakfast, he went to the other team's room and messed up their beds and tossed everything around. And so the Rattlers accused the Eagles of being evil communists. And the tensions mounted. And both groups became increasingly aggressive and self-righteous. And the Rattlers decided that they had lost to the baseball team, the baseball game to the Eagles, because they had given them better bats. And this tit for tat went on between each group, and then they stockpiled rocks. And they started using that just in case somebody trespassed on their own cabin. And then when the Eagles, the good team, Spark-Beacon people, won the tournament, they got a medal and they got some other, things, a penknife, I think, to celebrate their win. And at this point, both groups announced that they wanted nothing to do with the other group. But their counselors decided to up the ante. And, these counselors, they were graduate students. And they brought the two groups together. And they decided to have another contest. And hundreds of beans were strewn about the dirt. And each boy was given a minute to collect as many beans as they could and put them in a bag. And then one by one, the boys were called up, and the contents of their bags supposedly were projected on a screen for everyone to count. But the fact is, the bags, they were never opened. And the same beans were projected onto the screen over and over. They just had different arrangements. And one team, the Rattlers, saw what they wanted to see. And so did the Eagles. And from the Rattlers' perspective, they had gathered an average of maybe 10% more beans than their opponents. But their opponents, the Eagles, saw it differently and claimed that they were better bean pickers than the first group, and they were doing 20% better than they. Now, this whole elaborate experiment was regarded as a classic of social psychology. Those fifth graders were chosen because they were so much alike. And all it took for them to hate one another was to come up with some cheap medals and penknives that would be awarded to the winner of the tournament. And they said that those who looked at the results of this, they found it to be unsettling. And people look at it and they say they were still unsettled about what happened. That social experiment serves sometimes as a reflection of sometimes the polarization, the division we see based upon what we see in our world today. It may be polarization or division based upon culture or financial status or political affiliation. It can be summed up in an us versus them way of thinking, which sometimes can be one of the most basic and maybe even the most potentially dangerous to the human dynamics, because it makes the us versus them, and what makes it very problematic is not based upon a healthy debate on whether one idea is better than the other idea, but one group is good and the other group is evil. And when the conversation turns from challenging the ideas to declaring anyone within an opposing point of view is evil, that person is otherized, an enemy, an object that needs to be destroyed. And as that experiment showed, some of the otherization is hardened even more by their groups around them. They reinforce that. Today, we would call it social media. Everybody's in their own echo chamber, hearing the same things over and over again, and it reinforces their own particular point of view. But a lot of this has been set up and promoted, in my belief, by religion, including Christianity. I don't know if you remember watching Saturday Night Live many years ago. Just kind of lighten it up a little bit. Do you remember the church lady? The church lady. And she would have people interviewing them and, kind of chastising them. And she would say at the end, could it be Satan? I was going to try to find that particular clip. I have to bring it in next time. But when we examine the history of the Christian religion, we look at some of the work done by Elaine Pagels, who wrote a great book I call Beyond Belief. And she realized or discovered that Satan, of course, we know is not a dude, is not an individual or an entity that opposes the presence of God. All of that is just made up. I always like to say, if God is all that there is, and God is all that there is, if God is love, and yes, God is love, and if everything comes from the only thing that there is no room for anything else other than the presence and the power and the love of God. There is no opposing power called evil. There is no Satan. But this Satan idea started and evolved from demonizing people who disagreed with those with the most power in that movement at the time. And those who opposed were considered as the other. And thus they were considered bad people. And much of the us versus them and making other people evil lies in the fabric of religions, not only Christianity, but others. But I'm talking about Christianity because we're part of it and I can talk about it. Demonization usually starts with those within the faith, but later includes those outside of it. And as a result, those in the majority often move from mere rhetorical attacks to others to becoming a moral and psychological justification for persecution of those that they perceive as heretics and opponents, both real and imagined, stuff they make up in their mind. Carl Jung, who is the Swiss psychologist and founder of analytical psychology, noted that such demonization became part of what he called cultural patterning. Jung called this patterning cultural unconscious because it became embedded in the psyche of a large portion of humanity. And this cultural unconsciousness was created a collective belief in a duality in religion that created God and something opposing the presence of God. And in human consciousness, it is where it is an me or us versus a me and them. It's a mind virus. And sometimes it's infecting the collective consciousness. And today, this infection influences, if not consciously, perhaps unconsciously, the divisiveness we see in our society and our world. But there is a solution. That solution lies in embodying the root meaning of religion, which means to bind together. And such embodiment requires that we move away from the belief in duality to the realization of oneness. As it says, I think, in one of the scriptural references, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one." When humanity realizes there is no other, but there is only us, we will rise above the divisive energy to an energy where we work toward divine and perfect solutions. And when we do, we all benefit. And I think one way to tap into divine solutions is to tap into that one presence, that one power, that one mind of God, the only mind that knows the spiritual solutions to everything. And that happens when we tap into one. I looked into this topic today, and when I wrote it down, I said, "Yeah, this won't be easy. This won't be too hard." It required like a month or two of us thinking about it. But, I don't have but a few minutes to say a few things. But I picked out one thing that I think will move us and transcend us above any of the polarization, and that is engaging with something I call authentic dialogue. And I brought this up when the Unity Worldwide Ministries had a convention back in June. That was before the other convention I went to, and they had a presentation on, diversity and inclusion and so forth. And part of a group I was in did a presentation. I did a video part of it. And what I talked about is the power or the magic of authentic dialogue as being one way to approach to the healing of polarization and division. Because authentic dialogue reclaims the true meaning of communication. And communication comes from the Latin term commune and the suffix ie, which means to commune or to communicate, to make something common. In an authentic dialogue, participants are not seeking to reinforce ideas that's already known to them. They are creating something new out of seemingly diverse opinions and perspectives, revealing a truth that may have not been known to them prior to engaging in the dialogue. So authentic dialogue, no one tries to gain points or seek to impose their opinion, the person with a different perspective. Both sides are in the roles of being speakers and hearers and being transformed. And they're not playing a game against each other. Rather, they're playing a game with each other. And the object of authentic dialogue is to reach a point where everyone wins and they arrive at truth. Now, we have to look at a framework for this that I looked at over time. And an authentic dialogue requires, number one, is authentic listening. Authentic listening, deep, profound listening. Because, you know, if you look at most communication, sometimes I observe communication between folks is characterized by generous unwillingness to listen. Where this individual have a compulsion to speak. But as Francis Assisi says in that prayer, seek to understand rather than just to be understood. So that's the first thing. You have to be able to be willing to listen deeply, to be able to put yourself in an individual's shoes, question your own perspective, and begin to ask, is this true? Is it really true? As some of the work of, I can't remember her name, Katie, I can't remember her name, Byron Katie, who does the work. She says the thing, is it true? Do you know it to be absolutely true or not? And maybe set aside your own perspective, be able to listen to another perspective. But I think another part of the authentic listening is an interest in expanding the vision of what is possible. What is possible? You know, this presence, this power, this love that we call God only knows divine and perfect spiritual ideas. And we expand the vision when we are willing to drop our attachment to previously held ideas, previously held beliefs. There even has to be a willingness, I would say even an eagerness to go on to something new and different than what we believe in at any given moment. I always like to say some people have all the different religions that come together that sometimes have their own perspectives on things. I realize that maybe we should start with the question, you know, we all could be wrong here. Maybe start from there and just see, reconstruct. I always say that if the master teacher, Jesus Christ, came back and looked at all the religions made after his name, he would say, oh my God, let's eliminate all this and let's start all over. Start from the beginning. Maybe start from a clean slate. And maybe my perspective is not really the one that is the correct one. There's a higher perspective. And then thirdly, I think parties have to work through the uncomfortable luxury of changing their minds. You know, Charles Philman, the co-founder of Unity, said something to the effect when he was looking at our own philosophy. He said, I reserve the right to change my mind, which means that what I know today may be totally different than what I knew yesterday because spirituality should continue to evolve. Just like science, we learn something new today that we didn't know yesterday so we can go to a higher perspective. You know, a lot of people, they're willing to change locations. They're willing to change mates. They'll change jobs. They'll change underwear from boxers to briefs. They'll change hairdos. They'll change lipstick. But minds, not so much. It's not easy because beliefs are rooted in our conscious and unconscious assumptions, which are really nothing more than opinions. You know, I think I've shared before about, 400 years after Galileo chastised people for believing in their preconceptions that the sun revolved around the earth, and those people knew that they were right. Sometimes people cling to their opinions, knowing that they're right, and it's totally the opposite. You know, in 1970, there was a model of authentic dialogue that took place between the author and activist James Baldwin and the iconic anthropologist Margaret Mead, those are familiar with her. And it was called Rap on Race. And the subject was race and identity. And it was a very in-depth, nuanced, powerful, and enduring conversation that's worth listening to. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. And I think it came from like 8 hours of conversation that they had condensed to that period of time. And you can find it on YouTube. But if you listen to the entire dialogue, we recognize that how new perspectives emerge from both parties. And that's the magic of authentic dialogue. You know, what we see out picturing in the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of our collective consciousness. It's a reflection of our group soul. And if we want to see something different in our outer world, we must start by transforming our inner world. You know, as that statement goes, as within, so without. Spiritual law reminds us that we must start by seeing the vision or the result we want to achieve before we manifest that vision for our communities and for the world that we live in. That's why it says in Proverbs, I think the 29th chapter and 18th verse, where there is no vision, the people perish. You need to have a transcendent vision that pulls us to another level of being in the world. And how we get there, it does matter. You know, there was an architect, an American architect, an author, an inventor, and philosopher by the name of Buckminster Fuller. And he said, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. You change something by building a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Or put another way, it's coming upon us as a generation that's evolving to imagine, to articulate, to build a different world that we want to see. And that includes a revolution of values in which we put people over materialism, people over power, people over control. The spiritual foundation from which we operate is the most important. And if we don't start with a spiritual foundation, we will build a new model on sand rather than rock, and it will not last. So we must begin with spiritual principles to create that new and evolved and different world, and not solely on outer laws, not solely on mechanical policies, because that in and of itself will not be enough. The critical spiritual principle is one of oneness. And when we see and operate from the lens of oneness and the realization that everyone and everything is interconnected, then we will never set up models that will harm another person or an individual on the planet. Nor will we create separate categories or boxes in which we see reality as an us versus them game. We will realize it is always us. And whatever we do to another or this planet, we directly or indirectly do to ourselves. So we ought to create the models where we want to see from the principle of that oneness, from that interconnectedness. And then we will be on our way to transcending, rising above any sense of separation, any sense of divisiveness, and we will uplift the entire world. Peace and blessings to you. Oh, there's my face again. We're talking about some evolution. Human evolution needs you. Okay. So I'll be here next week talking about, as we continue on this theme of, we're really talking about the sense of oneness as one of the key principles that we talk about. At this time, we invite those who happen to be online that would like to support this message and this consciousness and spread the word. You can give and support Spiritual Life Center with your donation, your gift, and you can give a gift of your money by texting SLC Love to 44321. That's SLC Love to 44321. Or you can go to our website, slcworld.org, and give in other ways, including by mail. And I invite those who are present here today, if you're giving today, to symbolically raise your gift to the heavens, which is ever-expanding good. And know that if you've already given, either electronically or by mail, on a regular basis, which we encourage all to do, that you're in the flow of this magnificent principle that says, whatever you give comes back to you in so many different ways. And so with that, let us affirm our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
If God had a name, what would it be, and would we call it to his face? If we were faced with him in all his glory, what would you ask if you had just one question? Yeah, yeah, God is great. Yeah, yeah, God is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. What if God was one of us? Just someone like one of us. Just a stranger on a bus trying to make his way home. Oh, if God had a face, what would it look like, and would you want to see? If seeing meant that you would have to believe in things like heaven and Jesus, the saints and all the prophets. Yeah, yeah, God is great. Yeah, yeah, God is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. What if God was one of us? Just someone like one of us. Just a stranger on a bus trying to make his way home. Yeah, yeah, God is great. Yeah, yeah, God is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. What if God was one of us? Just someone like one of us. Just a stranger on a bus trying to make his way home. Just trying to make his way home. Like a holy rolling stone, back up to heaven alone. Just trying to make his way home. Oh, hey, nobody calling on the phone, and he wants us to be known. All he wants is to be known. No, nobody calling on the phone, and all he wants is to be known.
What if God was one of us? For we all come from that one presence, so God is also one of us and part of us. So at this time, we bless those who have given their gifts and their offerings here today, whether in person or online, knowing they're going to bless the giver as well as the receiver, and really provide us a place for others to come to grow, develop, and unfold to become the very best that they can be as expressions of the Spirit of the living God. We also bless those who have left their prayers in the prayer box, recognizing that we all have challenges and bumps in the road in our life. Yet we know that even before we write up a prayer, that the Spirit of the living God has the answer. For it says, before they call, I have already answered you. For this presence, this power, this love only deals with divine and perfect spiritual solutions. And the answer will come perhaps in ways and in a manner that we never imagined. But everything in life is to be enjoyed or learned from, and the Spirit of God will reveal to us what it is for us to learn or enjoy in this experience. So we are blessed and a blessing, not only for ourselves, but for all those who have left their prayers, that God is on the field and with them always. Amen. And with that, let us join together as we affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. And with that, let us sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family on the reef, let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. Let this be the moment. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. Woo, yeah.
Peace and blessings to you. Have a great week and come back for the meeting.